Hello, everybody. This is my second part of Critique of Love on Netflix. If you're wondering which show to watch, so my initial critique, which I will now rename as part one, was not fair because I didn't finish watching it. Now, having watched 3 seasons with a little bit break for Yom Kippur, I have a different view of this show. Okay, so Love is an American romantic comedy created by Judd Apatow, Leslie Olin, and Paul Rust. And he also plays the main character. It stars Rust, Gillian Jacobs, and other actors. So you have basically the girl played by Gillian Jacobs, like really does a good job in playing her, and her name is Mickey. And then you have also the name Mickey is a bit childish. The name already shows you she's quite immature. And then you have Paul Rust playing Gus. And then you have the roommate, an Australian girl. And she's like, basically it's supposed to be a down-to-earth look at dating, exploring male and female perspectives on romantic relationships with the characters Mickey and Gus, played by Jacobs and Rust. I'm reading this and then I'm going to say my opinion because I always do. Mickey and Gus are two untrustworthy people, each with significant emotional baggage, attempting to build a trusting relationship with each other. Mickey is an alcoholic, a love and sex addict, a pot stirrer, and someone who tends to be dishonest with herself and others, while Gus is awkward, emotionally needy, oblivious to social cues, and prone to occasional outbursts when things don't go his way. So basically, Mickey is like borderline personality. She's really crazy. How can I say crazy? She just is very easily triggered. And I wonder how she can even keep a job, and she succeeds somehow. And she has a lot of ex-boyfriends, and she cheats a lot. And Gus is also, at the beginning, he doesn't take her seriously. And I said a comment about the physical appearance of these people. So the actress that plays Mickey, who's is working on radio, her name is Jacobs. And Gillian Jacobs, is really beautiful. She's like an angel. It's like the Irish saying, a woman should be a little bit less beautiful than an angel, and a man has to be a little bit less ugly than the devil, or something like that. He's so ugly, Paul Russ. I kept looking at him because he's very charming. He has a huge nose. He looks like Dustin Hoffman, but Dustin Hoffman is handsome and is more intelligent and has more personality. And it's weird for me. And as I said, the stereotype of Jews having a huge nose is really just a stereotype, because he's not Jewish. He's actually Catholic, German Catholic, ethnic origin, and he's very neurotic. I don't know if he's trying to play Woody Allen, but there's a lot of things that go wrong. Like in the 3rd season, they go to his family in South Dakota, and the people there, they look like typical Midwest. They're very kind of like repressed, Midwestern church people, and he has a huge nose, and there's no explanation why he doesn't look like the rest of the family. So sometimes I think with casting, in order to get authentic, like that you feel like this is real, you need to cast people that look like each other a little bit. So he really stands up with his huge nose. He's so ugly. He's just so unattractive, and you really wonder what attracts women to such a person. Maybe because they think he's nice, but personally I have to say I could never go out with someone so ugly. I don't think I picked boyfriends that were particularly good looking. Quite the opposite. I looked for brainy ones, successful ones, people that are ambitious. That's what I was looking for when I was young. Men that were very ambitious and intelligent But nobody was as ugly as this Paul Rust is really like, oh my God, I just kept looking at him. And it's also his expressions, he's just so goofy. He looks like Goofy in Walt Disney. He's really ugly. And it doesn't make sense that such a beautiful girl would be interested in such an ugly man, especially in LA. There's so many good looking people. Like her roommates, well, this is spoilers alert. She finally gets a really handsome man. I think being attractive is not overrated. Being attractive is also how you take care of yourself. You know, he doesn't dress nicely. He's really, really ugly. If he had lenses, he would have been more attractive. Those glasses make him look even uglier. He has horrible ears. It's not just the nose. That's what I was thinking. Dustin Hoffman is not as bad looking, although he looks a bit like him. His ears, he's just so hideous. He's a candidate for plastic surgery. He really is so hideous looking. And so it's not authentic. It doesn't make sense that a beautiful girl would be interested in him. He's so not masculine for me. He's like a little boy. And maybe that's part of it. They're very immature. And I think it's a good point that a lot of people in relationships are really not mature. So it's not the fault of any one person. It's just that they're both very immature. And when you take two immature people and you put them together, you cannot have a good relationship. In order to have a good relationship, you have to have people that are mature and willing to get into a relationship. I definitely think this was the case with my marriage, for sure, but at least I never picked a hideous looking person, from the outside at least. I think definitely they were too quick into a relationship. I can predict that this is a relationship that will not last just because they're both immature. They both have a lot of emotional problems. And it's not something you can change. I mean, they're over 30 years old. When you're over 30, you're definitely not going to change. Even a person, Sigmund Freud, the father of psychoanalysis, modern psychology, said that a person's personality is usually by 5 years. It's like decided by the age of 5. I would say, I don't know, even a baby. You have you could see as a baby the personality of a person, but by the age of 5, you can see the personality of a person. But I think it's really important in a relationship that people have similar personalities, not opposites. They say opposites attract, but they don't say stay together. And this love, these people are quite opposites. He's hideous. She's beautiful. She's very gutsy. He's very scaredy cat. His family is supposedly very normal, very stable. Her family is really screwed up. Her father is a nightmare. And the alcoholism, it's like you could see that his mother, spoilers alert again, his mother is an alcoholic. I think a lot of people in America have drinking problems, and in Europe and in Australia, throughout the Anglo-Saxon world and Europe, which is one reason why I think I came back to the Middle East. In Israel, we don't have. I've seen a lot of beer bottles during this past closure. We're under full closure now. A lot of people's work has been shut down. I've seen bottles of beer and vodka, but we don't have it. There's nothing. It's like 0.00% compared to Europe and I guess US. And I think I have a problem with people being drunk all the time because you really cannot talk to people who are drunk. They're just not real. My experience with people who drink a lot has not been good. It creates an illusion. Also, a very quick physical hookup creates an illusion. A relationship built on physical attraction or on good intimate physical relation is not going to last. I think if you can predict if a relationship lasts, it's usually if people fulfill each other's emotional needs and are both caring in a similar way. If you have a person, I thought Mickey was very selfish. She had a nice side because she's borderline personality people. I've met one or two in my life. Tends to run among women. They can be very, very generous because because they're very highly manipulative. So one woman I knew, she was an alcoholic. They're usually alcoholics or have some sort of a drug addiction, so alcohol consumers, and then you don't know who they are, and they have terrible emotional outbursts. They can go from 0 to 100 in a second, very scary. And sometimes the drama is interesting, but you really cannot be friends with people like that. They're very undependable, unpredictable, but they tend to be very generous because it's part of their manipulation. Like they'll offer you, oh, come with me on a weekend and I'll pay for the hotel and everything. This is one woman friend of mine did. She paid for me and my daughter to stay in a hotel so we can all attend this rock, this music festival. And then she just like was drinking the whole time, and it's all about her at the end because she met this guy, and for weeks and weeks they just like drain you because it's always about them. And Mickey is no exception. She's always talking about herself, even with people who have babies and they already have a lot of things to do, a lot of responsibilities. It's always going to be about them. So I think people with borderline personality disorder are really cannot be in relationships. No, they're very attractive to men because they're crazy, and men are attracted to drama initially, but after a while they head for the hills. And I think it's not very realistic the way I'm still repeating what I said before. It's unrealistic. Men will not stay with a woman like that, no matter how beautiful she is. When she comes to his work place and does this drama scene, she will never see the man again, right? Oh, there's our man Sam. Once a woman does one meltdown like that at a workplace or in a school, that relationship is over for good, because usually people care about their jobs, and usually it's a problem when you have a partner like that. So and stalking, everything, that there's so much forgiveness there that in life it doesn't happen like that. People will not take all this drama, meltdown, excessive emotional meltdown. It just doesn't work. It's a way of getting rid of people, not of attracting them. And in this show, Gus is attracted to this woman. The crazier she is, when she says, I'm an addict, I'm a sex addict, I'm an alcoholic, he's more attracted to her. Okay, we know that his mother also has a drinking problem, so we are attracted to the dysfunction in our family. For sure, this is my case. I also was in denial. I thought that my family was, so nice and warm and friendly compared to my ex-husband's family. And then I realized they're dysfunctional, but in a different way. And actually, my ex-husband's family is in a better place because at least they don't lash out at each other, and there's borderlines. And my mother-in-law was a very balanced woman, despite having other problems like being aggressive and violent. She does have, she will not be having meltdowns, and she will also not be making dramas. And also there's like, people are not close to each other, they know nothing about each other, but they also don't have constant dramas, and they don't disconnect from each other, they just never connect with each other. So I'm married into a dysfunctional family. I came from a dysfunctional family. I am not an alcoholic, I'm not an addict. Maybe I do have a problem with sugar addiction that I'm battling. Starch food, I love starch foods and starchy foods and stuff like that. But and I have a problem with Netflix at the moment, but I can control that too. But what I'm saying, it's supposed to be about this TV show. For me, it was like, it's just not realistic. But I did marry a man after I saw him being also losing control over himself and being very aggressive, because it reminded me of my family. So this, if I would do a fourth season, I would show how Mickey and Gus are not together. Mickey finds another man. I would say more submissive, more neutral. Somebody comes from a good family where people are quiet, don't have dramas, and he's just really in love with her and willing to do everything for her because she's narcissistic. Besides being borderline, you can be a few things. I don't know, borderline personality and narcissistic, and could do a lot of things. And Gus would be with a woman who is unattractive like him. They both need people that will admire them. They're both very narcissistic. I don't see it working out. And so Gus will be also with a small little bird-like woman who looks, it's not attractive. A woman doesn't have a lot of going on. And I'm not sure he could be a father that quickly. I think with Gus he really should not be getting into responsibilities. Both especially him, I think he has very difficult financial situations. I don't understand how somebody can make a movie, say he spent all his money on a movie, and then go to Catalina and spend a fortune on hotels. I think TV series, for if somebody's watching out there, for me to get really into them, they need to be a bit realistic. So if somebody spent all his money, he's not going to go and spend more money. But maybe that's part of being borderline personality disorder, of some sort of a disorder where a person doesn't take responsibility for their financial situation. Um, and maybe, of course, in a TV show, you have to attract people, and you have to have always. That's one thing I learned from this show, is what the woman who plays the producer says. And I'm really happy she's African American. It's great to show African American women in leadership positions. I wish it was like this in real life. Sadly, it's not. Besides Oprah Winfrey, I don't know a lot of African Americans who are in show business and producing shows. And maybe I'm wrong, but not enough women, and definitely not enough African American women. But she says every 3 pages something has to happen. And in life, you know what? A lot of times, most of life is like no drama, except if you're in a very dysfunctional family. Most of life, you don't have a lot of drama. People have a marriage and family, and most of the time they're just having meals together, and they're just raising the children, and just financial matters, and spending a lot of time budgeting, and there's not a lot of drama going on. The drama occurs when you have a personality disorder, like borderline personality disorder, or and some sort of narcissistic personality disorder, or So I'm thinking that this show is not realistic, therefore I feel a little bit let down. There are a lot of cliffhangers, like that you wonder who will end up with whom and what's going to happen. A lot of cheating, and it's really sad. I didn't realize. I personally cannot be with two people at the same time. It just drives me crazy. And also, I mean, it had happened in the past before I was married. Certainly, that I was dating at the same time two people, but it was not on the same level. And I quickly broke up both of those relationships. So I think I mentioned that before. I'm repeating myself. So I didn't think love is realistic. I enjoyed the drama, and I kept thinking, thank God it's not me, thank God it's not me. Although there were times where I said, oh, I wish it was me, when he's doing stuff for her, when Gus is doing a lot of things for, she's a very spoiled little girl, and Gus is doing a lot of things for her. But it just doesn't work for me, because I just can't see a couple like that ever, ever, ever being together. I've never seen a couple where one of them is so hideously ugly and also very unsuccessful, or in a very bad financial place, especially in a place like LA. She's a beautiful woman. She could have been with anyone. And she did mention it at one point that, she would have loved to be with a wealthy man that could have provided for her a beautiful mansion. And so I seriously doubt this could ever take place. Usually women, including myself, would not go with somebody who's financially in a bad place, would not go with unemployed people or people who struggle. And you wonder how a teacher makes enough money to live in a luxurious villa, and he's always like paying for her, and like you wonder where the money's coming from, because it just doesn't seem realistic. I wish there would be TV series or movies where people are not spending a lot of money and going to restaurants constantly. I could imagine there would be a big financial drain on anyone's budget. But I think people, when they're young and they don't have children, they do spend beyond their means, and then you get married and they see they have so many costs. And so I do recommend this show now, but just it irritates me every time. It irritated me how unrealistic it was, and how unattractive he was, and his facial attract. He's just so unattractive. Like Woody Allen is ugly, but first of all, he has a great sense of humor, and he's also, he had a likable personality. He's not as ugly, but this guy is hideous. I think he would play good not in the leading role. I wouldn't put him as the leading man. And maybe it's like a dream come true. I can't imagine that an ugly, hideous man like that was very popular. Maybe I'm wrong. He is very talented and he sings beautifully. He has a beautiful voice, but he should be behind the scenes, not in front of the camera. He's just hideous to look at. And what can we say? What can I say? We like to see beautiful people. That's why we have Hollywood. We like to see beautiful actors, beautiful actresses, and we like to see the ugly people in you could be a servant or you can be friend number five, but not as a leading role. So with that, it's a sort of revolution, but it's very unrealistic, especially not in a plastic place like LA where looks do matter a lot. um, you know, in New York I could see it happening, even Boston where I was living, where ugly people could do well if they are good musicians. But in LA I would expect that looks matter, like looks would be crucial, and also money. So not realistic. So I just wanted to say, of Netflix, if you're wondering which Netflix series to binge on, I really liked all the TV shows I saw were all on alcoholism. All of them contained characters that are alcoholics. And Can't Cope, Won't Cope, an Irish show, takes place in Dublin. First of all, their accents are so charming, and I love Dublin. I was just there. I did meet my ex-husband there, the father of my children, and Dublin is beautiful, and I don't hold that against Dublin. It's a beautiful, beautiful city. I don't know if I'd ever want to go back because of the traumatic experience of having met a person that was very unkind to me, but it's where I had the beginning of my beautiful children, family. Yes, there's a dog here wants my attention, so I have to go. But it's like having a child that never grows up. So Won't Cope, Can't Cope is a beautiful TV series about two girls who have a drinking problem. I think it also would help people who have a drinking problem. It's a good show, and it is realistic. Nothing there happens that doesn't make sense. And whether job-wise, relationship-wise, it's not like American shows where it always has to have a happy end and always like a romantic couple has to go off into the sunset. So that's the difference between, I think, European and American shows. Americans always have to have the happy end. And so I think that's the difference. So I would like to see more European shows, but not necessarily the British, because sometimes the British shows do tend to be tedious. And I don't always like to hear the British accent, but the Irish are great. I wish there were more shows that took place in Ireland or Scotland. Beautiful accents. I might go off to, I did watch a Danish show called Rita after I got sick of reading the subtitles, because Danish is a difficult language. But it's interesting to see another culture. So try to see other cultures. Look at the European series, and I will be reporting to you if I find something better than this. I don't know where my next TV show would be, but try not to watch the American shows. So I'm going, like, let's say I'm going onto Netflix once again, and since I am an addict and since we're on a lockdown. And TV series gives you this continuity because you have the next series and the next series. You watch a movie, it's finished, and that's it. So Tales of the City I didn't like. So I really didn't like it. I just couldn't get into it. Very fake people.
I was wondering if
So you go into genres, going to European, let's say. Maybe I should go into history. Travels with my father is nice, but unfortunately my father died when I was young, and it's hard for me to see. But let's say history. Let's see what we have in history. TV shows, history. What do we have? The Last Tsars, A Royal Family with the Secret. I read at least 2 books on the, what are they called? The Last Tsars, the Kitchen Boy I read, and the Romanovs. Even when I lived in New York, there was somebody who was supposed to be related to them, who was like there. So I've got the Roman Empire, the Last Tsar, Diana. No, I've already seen enough, and I'm really tired of Harry and Meghan. Greatest events of World War II in color? No, I don't want to see Hitler. Maybe the rise and fall of the Ottoman? That might be because I do live in the Middle East. The life and lost art of Zivachki, I don't know. You have biographical as well. Oh gosh, I really don't know where I'm going to be headed next. Kill Hitler? Kill Hitler, maybe, maybe not. Maybe The Last Tsars. I want to watch something where it says critically acclaimed movies. So you've got Accidentally Auschwitz. No, so much. The Holocaust never stops. The Miami Showboat, Nazi concentration camps. Why? Why so many? So many shows are on. I'm really done it with the Battle of the Midway. Let's see. Nazis, Nazis, Nazis. Historical documentations. Hitler's still. Again, we have Hitler. I really can't do Hitler anymore. Let me see. I really don't know. The Negro Soldier. No. I do like civil rights movement, especially now with the American Revolution. The Memphis Belle. I am interested in the South. Let's see, what is Wubara Roshani? Let's see, information. Documentary, more. Let's see what it is. After the brutal murder of their loved ones, 3 individuals share how they healed through forgiveness.
Hit him when he came out. He was hit 8 or 9 times on the first shot.
I don't think I could watch. I can't deal with this. What is Petria? Let's see what Petria is. Wait. I need to get away from where I live a bit. So we have so many Russians. I don't think I really want to watch The Black Godfather. Black stories we have. Social and cultural documentaries. Cuba, no. Get Me Roger Stone. I don't know. Certainly we live in a very dramatic place, so I don't think I could do the Holocaust. We have a Holocaust Memorial Day, and I just want to see what Petra is about before. Oh? Mexico. I think I'm going to do Mexico. I'm going to watch Petria. This is.
La caída de la dictadura de Santana. La Constitución del 57.
Yes, I had a Mexican-American friend, so very good friend of mine. So more than one. That's what I'm going to be watching. I'll let you know. A period he considers foundation for the country. And I like that language. So this is the next